Welcome to the Teachers on Fire podcast, where 21st century educators come to share, learn, and be inspired. We believe in the growth mindset, creativity, communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and strategic uses of education technology. Our mission is to share news and views from teachers who are crushing it in the classroom and making a difference for learners everywhere. I'm your host, Tim Cavey. Let's jump into today's episode. Today I'm speaking with Bobby McCutcheon. Bobby is a husband, father, genius hour advocate, travel junkie, and the principal of Randall Elementary School in Independence, Missouri. Bobby, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Are you ready to talk education?
Absolutely. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight with you, and let's do this. I'm excited for it.
That's good to hear. Let's jump in. Why don't you start by telling us about your current education situation there at Randall Elementary?
Yeah, for sure. So I am just wrapped up my third year as the principal at Randall Elementary. We're in Northeast Independence, the hometown of Harry Truman. And so I've been here for 3 years. I actually kind of backed my way into elementary education. I was a 7th through 12th grade social studies teacher, and my admin experience had all been in middle and secondary. And I had this great opportunity to work in an elementary building, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I just absolutely have loved it. It's been really great.
That's so cool. And yeah, I love hearing those stories about maybe you didn't always envision ending up there, but there you are and you're learning and it's working well. Bobby, tell us about a low moment that you faced in your teaching or education career and then how you overcame it.
Yeah, I think probably I've been pretty fortunate. I don't know that I would have something that just really pops out as a low moment, but I would say this, in the building that I'm at now, we deal with a lot of students that face a lot of trauma and crisis in their lives, and that's something that we deal with every single day, and a lot of times with our kids that really manifests itself as behaviors and other issues, and it's the most challenging part of our job, but it's certainly the most rewarding part of our job. And
Mm.
really how we handle that daily is just through our network of colleagues that we have within the building. I have never worked in a tighter knit building. I tell people this all the time when I interview prospective teachers, that it really is like joining a family.
Hmm.
And I know whether you're teaching kindergarten or second grade or fifth grade, that if you have a question or a concern, you can go to any teacher or any support staff person in our building, and they will be there to help you as best as they can. And that for me is really how we get past those low points or those difficult days where you just kind of think like, man, I don't know if I can continue to do this. It's tough. Are we really making a difference? It's just that awesome network of colleagues that we have that really keep us going.
Well, that sounds like the kind of community that any kid would want to be a part of. And I would say culture. I'm sure you would agree that culture is a huge part of successful education. And it sounds like you've got a good thing going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me,
Mhm.
culture is one of the biggest pieces of what we try to do.
Mhm.
When I came into the building, I really wanted to make sure that we were doing a couple of things well. And one of those things was supporting teachers, making sure they felt like they were supported from me as the principal, that they were able to take risks, that they could be innovators in the classroom.
Hmm.
That was just something that was extremely important for me, that we created that culture of innovation within our building, and it's been neat to see that progress over the last couple of years.
So exciting. And Bobby, just from what I can tell from a distance, it looks like you're modeling the same kind of risk taking and learning that you're inviting your staff and your learners into. I think that's a big part of the puzzle as well. Next, let me ask you, what is it that excites you about education today? This might be a big picture, sort of an aerial view of education, or maybe it's something on the micro level that you see your teachers doing in the classroom.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think there's a lot of positive trends in education today. I think that there is a lot of good folks out there encouraging teachers to really step outside of the box and not be in that cookie cutter mold of this is how a lesson has to be taught. And we really have encouraged people to take risks, to try new things in their classroom, knowing that sometimes when you do that, it's not going to work, and that's okay. But we do what we have to do for our kids. So for example, one thing that we have embraced at Randall is this concept of genius hour. And so this is something that we started 3 years ago with our third, fourth, and fifth graders, where we've kind of carved out time within our school week to give kids the opportunity to really identify and then explore their passions and what they're passionate about. And so over the course of about 9 weeks or so, we have students that they research projects, they connect with outside experts, and they put together some type of presentation. And we have just had some really amazing presentations develop out of that. And I always like to share this one with people. It's by far my favorite.
Okay.
We had a fifth grader just this past spring that he was a kid that really struggled with some attention in school, didn't have the best grades, he struggled with some behavior, and he decided that he wanted to do his Genius Hour project around police canine dogs. So he was really fascinated with these canine police dogs. And so, using a connection we had in the building, we connected him with our local police department. He wound up interviewing a couple of the Independence police officer, canine police officers. They actually came out to the school. He interviewed them. He did a lot of work with them. And then he held an assembly in front of our entire student body
Wow.
where these two officers came back and this young man was able to introduce the dogs. He kind of led us all through this PowerPoint presentation about the dogs and how they train them. And then the officers did a demonstration. And then as a follow-up to that, a few weeks later, they invited him to come to one of their actual police trainings where they got to handle the dogs and do that thing as kind of a follow-up. So it was just absolutely amazing. And, we were able to take just kind of an idea or this passion that this young man had and really turned it into reality for him. And for us, that's a huge part of what we do. It's obviously important that we teach kids how to read and write well and to do math and all those important things. But if we can give kids something to strive for and to work towards in the future, then to me that is just as important, if not more important. And so that's something that I think is a hugely important trend that we are seeing in education is that we know the importance of the core subjects, but we know our job is far bigger than that. And we've been able to kind of reach out through Genius Hour to do part of that. So it's been really exciting for us.
Wow, that is a wonderful story and just such a great example of depth of knowledge. I just think of that fifth grader. I mean, he's never going to forget this year, right? I mean, he's never going to forget these experiences, and all of the learning is so rich. Just the depth of knowledge, you can't even compare it to, let's say, sitting through a couple of months of worksheets and not to dump on worksheets, but just to say in terms of depth of knowledge, we need to connect our learners with memories and experiences. So yeah, Genius Hour definitely fits with the inquiry-based learning model that we keep hearing more and more about. And it was good to talk to actually one of the co-authors of the Genius Hour guidebook, a few episodes back. And sounds like it's definitely alive and well at Randall. Moving on, Bobby, share about another area of passion and learning for you, something that maybe it's outside of education, but it just fuels you as a person and as a learner.
Yeah. And so, I have a lot of interest, of course, things like sports. I live in Kansas City, and so we're surrounded by professional sports teams. So we've got the Kansas City Royals, we've got the Chiefs, we've got Sporting Kansas City, and that has really always been a passion of mine. But quite honestly, outside of that, I got into education because I was super passionate about history and social studies, and that continues to be a passion of mine. I follow politics and the news really closely. Those are things that really interest me. From a sports perspective, I've always loved the competition aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it, and just going out and seeing people do things that the average person cannot do is pretty remarkable. Whether you're talking about Michael Phelps going out and just breaking records in the pool,
Right.
or just most recently I like to watch the French Open every year, and watching Nadal go out and win number 11 the other day was pretty remarkable. So to me, what I like about sports is just seeing people elevated to such a level that most of us would never be able to touch. It's pretty remarkable, and it's a good demonstration of what some skill plus hard work will get you. And I think those people serve as really good role models for kids as well, that if you put a little hard work in, you're willing to dedicate yourself to something, you can accomplish really amazing things. And I think that's a great lesson for our kids as well. Like I mentioned, we work with a lot of kids that come from some difficult backgrounds, and in a lot of cases, the deck is kind of stacked against
Hmm.
them. And I've always truly believed that education is the way to get out of poverty. It is the way to get out of those tough circumstances. And education mixed with a little bit of hard work will get you a long ways. And so that's always kind of been the broader message I've taken from sports teams that I followed. The Royals won the World Series a couple of years ago, and that was a really scrappy team that would go out and put their talent, and they maximized it on the field because they hustled, they played hard, they were a team, a lot of cohesiveness, and they brought it all together to win a World Series. And that was really cool for us to see here on just kind of a personal level here in Kansas City. But that's always been a passion of mine, and something that I've always been very excited about and continue to follow as an adult.
That was a great pitch for professional sports. Thank you for justifying the hours that I've spent watching professional sports. But absolutely, I'm right there with you. I definitely appreciate all of those values of teamwork and dedication and commitment and sacrifice that goes into, performing at the highest levels. Just as a side note, Bobby, you mentioned the Royals World Series win. Shortly after that, my wife's initials are actually KC, so I bought her a Royals hat. She doesn't wear it often enough, but go Royals.
Yeah, terrific. Well, congratulations, right?
Moving on, Bobby, to the next. My next question here is about personal habits, and this is something that in the self-help and productivity space we're always paying attention to as professionals. What's your secret sauce? What are you doing on a regular basis that really benefits you personally, professionally, whatever it is? We love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 3.5 or so years ago, I decided to kind of get myself back in shape physically and mentally. I had been working a pretty strenuous job as an assistant principal and an athletic director. I was
Hmm.
gone a lot, supervising games, and my eating habits were terrible, and I wind up putting on a lot of weight. And I just decided a few years ago it was time to take care of this. It was affecting my mood, my work ethic. It was affecting my energy level, and it just wasn't fair to myself or to the kids that I serve. And so, really just started, eating healthy and getting to the gym. And slowly over time, that really has developed into a habit. And so, over the course of, I don't know, a couple of years, I've lost, pretty significant amount of weight and probably in the best shape of my
Hmm.
life. And it goes far beyond just the physical aspect of feeling better. But quite honestly, I mean, I have far more energy, more mental focus. It just helps you take on the day. And, I probably go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and it really has become kind of that kind of sanctuary that I can go to after a hard day at school sometimes. And I can go and I've got an hour and a half where I can just spend really focusing on just improving my physical aspect, but also my mental aspect. And it's really been terrific for me. And it's really, I think, contributed to my success and being able to do some of the things that we do. And I just know that had I continued down that path of not taking care of myself, it was going to affect my ability to take care of my students. And that's certainly not okay. And so, really, that has been probably the biggest life changing decision that I have made as an adult, is just deciding to take charge of that. And I tell people this all the time because this is not an uncommon thing for people to struggle with weight and staying in shape. And it really is just solely about making the decision that enough is enough. It's time to take charge of
Hmm.
your life, and it's time to turn things around. And you certainly can do it. It does take some patience. I will say that as well. It is not something that you hit the gym for a week or 2 weeks and, bam, you look in the mirror and you look terrific. That doesn't happen. It's going to take months and even years really to get where you need to be. So, one of those things that, it teaches patience, it teaches perseverance, it teaches hard work, but, it's certainly worth it in the end. And so, it's been absolutely life changing for me to kind of get things back on track. And it's affected my personal life, my professional life, and it's been the best decision I've ever made.
Awesome, Bobby. I love that. And yeah, as Dave Ramsey says, sometimes you just have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And you've got to make that
Yes.
complete
Yes.
decision to turn things around. And love what you're saying about working out and staying fit and also changing the diet. I've definitely tried my hand at the sort of I'm going to work out and still hit the McDonald's drive-through, and that just doesn't it just doesn't work.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Can't outwork a bad diet. I think that's the saying. So.
yeah. We're moving into some rapid fire recommendations, Bobby. So we'll start at Twitter, which is really the best place to be inspired
Yeah.
and build a positive PLN. Who do you recommend that we follow there, and tell us why?
Yeah, if I had to pick one person, if you're not following Adam Welcome, you need to do that right now. He is absolutely an amazing person. So Adam is the author or co-author of the book Kids Deserve
Mhm.
It, and I think his Twitter handle is at Mr. Adam Welcome, and he is fantastic. He not only tweets out motivational things daily, but he is absolutely the most interactive person on Twitter as far as kind of education rock stars
Mhm.
go. There's hardly been a time that I've connected with him that he has not responded quickly back to my tweets, and I've had teachers do the same thing. So we're actually using his book "Kids Deserve It" as our summer book study. And so as my teachers have gone through that, they have tweeted him, and he almost always responds, and they get super excited about that. So Adam Welcome is definitely someone that you should be following on Twitter.
Awesome. Great recommendation. I do follow him, and I'll echo everything you said. Next, point us to an edtech tool that you currently love using, maybe in your personal practice or you see being used in the education environment that you work in.
So I was just recently introduced to TweetDeck.
Okay.
So to kind of stick in the Twitter lane here, so I've been hosting some Twitter chats, which I think is also kind of an ed tech tool that people should be grasping onto. If you are not participating in a regular Twitter chat, you are missing
Mhm.
out. Absolutely. So I had the chance to host the At Genius Hour chat a week or so ago, and then we host one every week for our school where we kind of look at those chapters that we're reading in Kids Deserve It, and that's how we do our book study essentially. So TweetDeck, if you've not used TweetDeck, it is a fantastic tool for you to be able to see your notifications, kind of your home screen, and you can follow any hashtag. So if you are doing a Twitter chat, you definitely want to use TweetDeck. It makes it 10 times easier. And then probably the coolest feature that I use on it is you can pre-schedule out tweets.
Mm.
So if you are hosting a Twitter chat or something like that, you can plug those tweets in advance and they will go ahead and post like any other normal tweet whenever you've set that time and date. Makes it really easy to do something really cool like a Twitter chat. So if you've not used TweetDeck, you definitely need to check it out.
And did you say that's a mobile app as well, Bobby?
I've only used it on my laptop actually, and so I don't
Right.
know, but it's certainly easy to utilize on your laptop, and I would imagine there's probably some type of mobile version as well.
Excellent. Next, recommend a book, one that you've been reading lately or one of your all-time faves, and tell us why you recommend it.
Yeah, so I had a colleague recently lend me her book, Lead Like a Pirate. And Lead Like a Pirate is kind of a part of the Dave Burgess series of pirate books. So Teach Like a Pirate. Adam Welcome, whom I just mentioned, is getting ready to release Run Like a Pirate. Kind of talks about some of his experiences running marathons. But Lead Like a Pirate was really, really spoke to me as a principal. And honestly, I would say anyone that's an aspiring leader, whether you aspire to be a principal or a central office administrator, or if you just want to be a teacher leader and a better teacher, it is just filled with great ideas. And what I love about the book is that Beth and Shelley's focus, the authors, they really do a great job of putting kids first. And knowing that no matter what you do, the most important thing is that you are doing what's best for your kids, and you do whatever it takes for your students. And it's just a fantastic book. It's super motivational, and there's a lot of just real practical applications, things that both these ladies did in their own school buildings that you can bring back and start implementing in your school right away. And again, that PLN of the pirate folks is really supportive and just really great motivators and full of really terrific ideas. So if you've not read any of the pirate books, I would. Lead Like a Pirate is definitely one that you could start with.
Very cool. I'm working my way through Teach Like a Pirate, so
Yeah.
getting a little familiar with the Burgess Empire and really like their energy. So we'll add Lead Like a Pirate to that. Next, Bobby, tell us about a podcast, one that helps those commuting minutes go by and, helps us get to school a little bit more inspired than when we got in the car.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a good education podcast, the StartEDup podcast is hosted by Don Wettrick. And I talked a little bit earlier about Genius Hour, and Don is one of the pioneers really behind Genius Hour, somebody that's been doing it for several years. I'm doing it at a high level. And so we actually used his book, Pure Genius, as kind of the guidepost for our Genius Hour. And so StartEDup, Don really talks to educators across the country and globe that are innovators, that put creativity in the classroom. And so if you're looking for motivation or if you're looking for a new idea to try, Don's podcast is absolutely fantastic. Certainly worth a listen.
That's a great recommendation as well. Thank you for that. Don Wettrick is one of those big names in the edtech space, so definitely another one to follow. Look forward to checking out his podcast. Tell us about a YouTube channel, Bobby, that you enjoy, and tell us why. And this can be one that you find really useful in a school environment, or again, maybe one that you just find personally amusing and enjoyable or helpful.
Yes, so I watch a lot of YouTube, and some of it is education related, some of it is not. An education person that I like to watch a lot of his videos is Principal Baruti Kefele. So Principal Kefele is terrific. I've heard him speak a couple of times now, and he really kind of posts these snippets from his book, The Principal 50 and The Teacher 50. They're super motivational, and so he's somebody from an educational standpoint that I listen to. As far as health and nutrition goes, I love to watch YouTube videos. There's Athlean X is probably my absolute favorite YouTube channel. Jeff Cavalier is the guy who hosts that, and if you're looking for just some fitness motivation and ideas, nutrition ideas, that is a great place to go. I think it is the number one kind of health and fitness channel on YouTube. So Athlean X is something to check out if you're looking for some tips on losing weight and getting in shape.
Sounds good. We can all stand to getting in better shape. We'll end with one of my favorite questions, I guess in a different way. You've got no energy left, Bobby, at the end of the day. You're putting your feet up. What are you watching on Netflix right now?
Yeah, so typically I'm watching on TV whatever my wife is watching on TV, and that's how it goes. But when I get the chance, we've been trying to catch up on all the Marvel movies. All my friends have told me the new Avengers Infinity War movie is amazing, but they also said you need to kind of watch a couple leading up to that I had missed. So I think I've watched Thor, Ragnarok, and Black Panther within the last couple of weeks, and so I think I'm about ready to go to the theaters and watch the new Avengers movie. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Fantastic. Well, Bobby, this has been a ton of fun. I just get such a positive, encouraging vibe from you, and I can tell from what we were talking about earlier that you've got a lot of good things going on at Randall Elementary. So thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. I appreciate you having me on and letting us share a little bit about what we're doing.
What's the best way for the listeners to follow you and get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah, so really I'm most active on Twitter as far as the social media platform goes. And so my own personal Twitter account is at Fight for Mizzou. Went to the University of Missouri, so go Tigers. So at Fight for Mizzou, at Randall Bears is our school Twitter account where we post a lot of cool pictures and things of what we have going on in school. So either one of those ways, be happy to have you reach out to me on either of those platforms.
Awesome. Well, we will be following you, and I know you're in the middle of your summer school season. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a couple weeks into summer school. We finished the regular school year towards the end of May, and we started around June 1st, and we go until the end of the month. So we've got a couple weeks left, but it's been a great summer so far.
Excellent. Well, best of luck finishing that out, and wish you and your family all the best. Hope you get some really quality rest time this summer and get back to it in the fall full of energy and new ideas. And God bless there at Randall Elementary.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, Bobby.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Teachers on Fire, where teachers come to share, learn, and be inspired. Please subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review on iTunes, and follow us on Twitter at Teachers on Fire. I'm your host, Tim Cavey, saying goodbye for now, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Teachers on Fire podcast.